So when you say approve, you mean you've vetted them and they, I mean, that's your recommendation, I mean, because...
I vet them for the policy. I don't vet them for, I mean, the Director Krajcek vets them for their needs. I'm only reviewing them for the policy thresholds and bringing them to you.
But in the case of no bids or no evidence of bids?
That's why the first one, well, that's why they're both there, but and then the second one also exceeded the old department threshold for directors, was 5,000. So neither of them had bids per the old policy. Not required under the new policy. For the old policy, neither of them had bids, and the second one for $6,070 is also above the old director threshold.
But again, that was what was governing
at the time, yes.
So, I mean,
yes,
I guess I'm just curious, why would we approve that then? What would be your recommendation to approve it if it did not meet with?
My recommendation is to bring it forward for your approval.
Well, it says approve, so I guess...
Well, that's what you've been doing all along, is approving these expenditures. It says consider approving the expenditures. And since the goods and services have already been received...
it violated the law, so, I mean, it's going to be difficult for me to approve them, but... then on the next one, and maybe you can't answer this, but I guess it was a transformer purchase to service Marvin's tow service, and I guess the question there is that a cost that was figured into the break-even analysis and payback estimates, or was this not an acquired customer from Casey? It was not. Okay.
Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. These two particular transformers were purchased for new customers that have developed within the city limits of Gardner. They are not part of the KCPL purchase project that we took on last year.
Will they serve that group of customers? That transformer?
No, Marvin.
They're specifically only for this one customer?
Well, for two separate customers. One of them is the Waverly Lift Station, belongs to the city, and the other one is Marvin's Tow, which is a new customer on 191st Street, west of Center Street.
Okay.
Any other questions for Bill? Bill, thanks.
Can I add one more thing, Mayor? Excuse me, I'm sorry. There will be another purchase. The transformer that we purchased for, I believe it's Marvin's Tow, is a one-of-a-kind, and we typically have in stock a spare to back up every transformer that we have on our system. So at some point in time here, we will be purchasing a second transformer to back that one up, because what happens if that transformer fails for whatever reason, we have no way to get our lights on without a backup transformer. So you'll be seeing that expense coming up, in the future.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the expenditures for goods and or services incurred by the electric department which were outside the city's purchasing policy and procedures as of the time of the incurrence of those expenditures for new business item number 2.
Second. Motion, Shute, second, Freeman, that we approve expenditures incurred by the electric department which are outside the city's purchasing policy at the time of purchase and procedures per KSA 12-826. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Motion carries. New business item number 3. Consider adopting a resolution authorizing the offer for sale of certain general obligation bonds of the City of Gardner, Kansas, Series 2014A. Laura, welcome back.
Thanks. You have maturing temporary financing for the benefits district projects that you did in cooperation with the school district, and those mature April 15th of this year. And so the time has come to issue permanent financing for those and go through the motions to assess the school district for their portion, and those things will be upcoming. Tonight is merely authorization of the notice of sale for the bonds that will be selling March 17th. This is merely permission for the finance team to move forward on creating your official statement. And there's a recommendation in here from Mr. Kimmel's pre-sale report from Ellers. I did draw your attention to Section 3 of the resolution. Does specifically state, as we discussed at the work session the other night, that the official statement will be brought forward for your review on March 3rd, including those disclosure language as we discussed. With that, and I'll remind you all that we're in this benefit district for 50% city, 50% school, and then there was a portion, $1,065,000, that is city only for the sewer capacity expansion to serve that project. With that, I will ask Mr. Kimmel to come up and he can hit the highlights of his pre-sale report and stand for any of your questions.
Thanks, Laura. Bruce, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Bruce Kimmel with Ellers. Thank you for this opportunity. I think Laura hit most of the highlights regarding the proposed bond issuance, but I did just want to note a couple of items from the pre-sale report that you received. First, I should note that our debt structure and duration is really going to be about 15 and a half years, not 16 and a half years. I must have been thinking we were still in 2013 when I wrote this report, so we'll get that fixed. But it is a 15-year duration ending in 2029. Laura mentioned how you will be paying the debt service on the bonds, the benefit district portion, as well as the sanitary sewer portion. You might be curious about bank qualification. This is an obscure aspect of municipal bonds that allows you to achieve a lower interest rate if you issue less than $10 million in a given year. We think it's likely that you'll be under that threshold even if you do have a fall issuance, and we'll make sure you are under that $10 million threshold so you can achieve the lowest possible interest rates on both this issue and any subsequent issue in 2014. As you're probably aware, you do have a AA3 rating from Moody's Investors Service on your bonds. Both Moody's and Standard & Poor's, which is really the primary alternative to Moody's, have recently changed their rating methodologies, and so we've been analyzing both the changes to Moody's approach as well as S&P's approach, and we'll be working with city staff to proceed with one of those two agencies on getting a rating, and we can update you on that on March 3rd as well. And I think that's the main thing. We will be following a competitive bid process. This is the process you used with your previous financial advisor. It's very well established in the Kansas bond market, and it has been historically shown to achieve the lowest possible interest rates. So we wholeheartedly suggest using a competitive sale process here. And then finally, I guess I should note, we do recommend a call feature in 2013 for the bonds maturing in 2023, for the bonds maturing 2024 through 29. So those last 6 years will be either callable, you can just prepay those, or refund those if an opportunity exists to lock in lower interest rates at that time. On the next page, we do have the, 2 pages further, we have the key dates with tonight's meeting kicking this off. In City Council review of the preliminary official statement on March 3rd. We'll look to have the rating agency conversation the following week, and then take bids the morning of the 17th with award that evening at your City Council meeting. Closing, that's the settlement of the bond issue and the receipt of the proceeds, is scheduled for April 10th, which would give you a good 5 days before you need to make the full payment on the 2012 B notes, and pay those off. So with that, I would answer any questions you might have about the proposed issuance, this pre-sale report, or the authorizing resolution that was prepared by your bond attorney at QTech Rock.
Real quick, just so that you know, we've got some rules of procedure that we follow. After presentation, we usually open the floor and see if there's anybody in the audience that wants to make public comment. I wouldn't sit. We haven't had anybody up yet, but maybe this is the one. At this time, if there's a member of the audience that would like to make public comment about new business item number 3, now's the time to step forward. Okay. Questions for Laura or Mr. Kimmel?
How does our, I guess either one of you, how does the information that we